Now, this prescription was intended to only be needed for a short period of time, and the doctor prescribed him to take one tablet every 6 hours as needed for severe pain. Bob takes the medication as directed for a few days, but he thinks the medication is not really working, so he begins to take 2 tablets instead of 1, and takes them more frequently than every 6 hours. He thinks he feels great, and the pain stops for a few hours. Bob continues to take the pain medication on his own terms. Over time, Bob does not get relief from just 2 pills, and so he compensates and starts taking 3 or 4. Bob is now showing that he has developed tolerance to the drug, so he needs more to get the same effect. Since Bob has been overusing his pain medications, he realizes that he has no more refills. He must go without the drugs. He begins to feel irritable and has no clue why he is sweating, throwing up, and having so many aches and pains throughout his body. Bob is showing opioid dependence. Bob is in so much pain, he goes to a friend and asks for some of his pain medications. He feels better after he takes them, and the vicious cycle continues. Now Bob cannot fight the urges, gets to take the pain pills, and he is willing to do anything to get them. This is now a full-blown addiction, and it all began with misusing prescribed medication and quickly spiraled out of control. There are many reasons behind addiction. It can be genetic, environmental, social, or emotional, but many times it's a combination of all those things. Some risk factors for misuse of opioids include family or personal history of substance abuse, meaning you or a family member have struggled with abusing drugs or alcohol. Young age. The largest group that abuses prescription opioids are actually between the ages of 18 and 25. Regular contact with high-risk people or environment. So if you are around someone or in environments that are abusing drugs or displaying risky behaviors, it may increase the chance of drug abuse. Untreated mental health issues like depression or anxiety. Many people with untreated mental health issues are at increased risk for self-medicating and may turn to abusing opioids. Risk-taking or thrill-seeking behavior and dealing with stressful circumstances. Once again, people may turn to self-medication to deal with stressful issues like family problems or overwhelming stress from school. You may be wondering, why are these things so addictive? Well, opioids or indigenous opioids are actually made naturally. They are used to signal our brain to provide pain relief. Opioids can be made outside the body as well, like a pain pill. The synthetic or man-made versions mimic natural chemicals and can fit like a lock and key into the opioid receptors that we have on our nervous system. The binding of a synthetic opioid and our opioid receptors affects our pleasure centers in the brain. This creates a euphoric feeling and increases the urge to reuse the drugs. Here is an illustration of what we just learned. Here we see the opioid receptors and how opioid drugs increase that euphoric feeling. Although it may feel good, the consequences of opioid addiction are serious and can even result in death. Opioid abuse is a serious health problem for many communities. Currently, Illinoisans are continuing to struggle with this health crisis. In 2017, the Illinois Department of Health released data that revealed the extent of this crisis. In 2016, 1,946 deaths related to opioid overdoses occurred. Of all the overdoses in the state, 80% of them involved opioids. The number of deaths related to opioids are continuing to rise for Illinoisans, so much so that opioid overdose deaths outweighs the number of deaths related to homicides and fatal car crashes. As I said before, the opioid crisis affects many communities, from big cities to the suburban areas. In McHenry County, there were 51 deaths related to opioid overdoses, and in 2017, we saw a huge spike in overdose deaths. This problem is very real, both locally, statewide, and nationally. The number of hospitalizations to opioid abuse continues to rise at an astonishing rate. Because of this, we are seeing tremendous economic, social, and medical costs. When opioids are abused, it can come with ramifications. Health issues that an individual may experience are drowsiness, confusion, nausea, vomiting, tolerance or dependence, slow breathing leading to hypoxia, which means a lack of oxygen to the brain, slow heart rate, increased risk for contracting HIV or hepatitis C from sharing needles or unsafe sex, and death. In order to solve this current crisis, everyone must do their part, including you. We have already taken the first step, and that is getting informed. Knowing the risk and dangers of opioid addiction increases our awareness and encourages us to stay far, far away. Under the right conditions, opioids may be prescribed, and that's okay. But remember to take them as the doctor orders to prevent misuse, tolerance, dependence, and addiction. Remember to never share or use others' pain medications. Doctors give prescriptions that are tailored to you. Using others or sharing can be dangerous and can lead to overdose. To reduce the risk of misuse, make sure to dispose of your pain medications properly, like at community take-back programs. Talk with your doctor to find alternative pain management therapies. There's more to manage pain than just opioid drugs. Get counseling for mental health issues, and if you are struggling or know someone who is struggling with opioid abuse, don't be afraid to get help. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for learning with me. Now we are on with the tools we need to combat this epidemic. To test your knowledge, click on the link below in the description. Let us fight this opioid crisis together.